ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमः विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, dear Prabhujis, we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is. Chapter 2 contents of the Gita summarized. And in our last session we read the 39th verse, now we are reading the 40th verse. So Lord Shri Krishna, he continues, and a very very famous verse of Bhagavad Gita. So Lord Shri Krishna says, Neha Bhikrama Nasho Asti Pratyavayo na vidyate. Neha Bhikrama Nasho Asti Pratyavayo na vidyate. Swalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Neha Bhikrama Nasho Asti प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्वल्पमपि अस्य धर्मस्य त्रायते महतो भयात्। नेहा विक्रमनाशो अस्ति प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्वल्पमपि अस्य धर्मस्य त्रायते महतो भयात्। Na, there is not iha in this world abhikramaha endeavoring, nashaha loss, asti there is, pratyavayaha diminution, na never, vidyate there is, swalpam little, api although, asya of this, dharmasya of this occupation, trayate releases, mahatah of very great, bhayat from danger. So in this endeavour there is no loss or diminution. In this endeavour there is no loss or diminution. Neha Vikrama Nashosti. And a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. And a little advancement on this path can protect one from most dangerous type of fear. Swalpam apiyasya dharmasya trayato mahto bhayat. So, very beautiful verse. So in the purport, Swami Srila Prabhupada explains, activity in Krishna consciousness or acting for the benefit of Krishna without expectation of sense gratification is the highest transcendental quality of work. Even a small beginning of such activity finds no impediment, nor can that small beginning be lost at any stage. Any work begun on material plane has to be completed, otherwise the whole attempt becomes a failure. But any work begun in Krishna consciousness has a permanent effect, even though not finished. The performer of such work is therefore not at loss even if his work in Krishna consciousness is incomplete. 1% done in Krishna consciousness bears permanent results, so that the next beginning is from the point of 2%. Whereas in material activity without 100% success, there is no profit. Ajamila performed his duty in some percentage of Krishna consciousness, but the result he enjoyed at the end was 100% by the grace of the Lord. There is a nice verse in this connection in Shrimad Bhagavatam. So Swami Srila Prabhupada is taking another reference from Shrimad Bhagavatam. Tyaktva swadharmam charnam bhujer harer bhajan pakko athapate tato yadi yatra kwa va bhadram abhudamushyakim ko varthapto abhajatam swadharmataha. If someone gives up sense gratificatory pursuits and works in Krishna consciousness and then falls down on account of not completing his work, what loss is there on his part? And what can one gain if one performs his material activities perfectly? Shrimad Bhagavatam 1.5.17. Or as the Christian says, What profiteth a man if he gains the whole world yet suffers the loss of his eternal soul? Material activities and their results end with the body. But work in Krishna consciousness carries the person again to Krishna consciousness, even after the loss of the body. At least one is sure to have a chance in the next life of being born as a human being, either in the family of a great cultured Brahmana or in a rich aristocratic family. That will give one a further chance for elevation. That is the unique quality of work done in Krishna consciousness. So, very beautiful verse and very beautiful explanation by Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Shri Krishna is saying, Na iha. There is not in this world, iha, in this world, abhikramaha, endeavoring nashaha. In the previous verse, Lord Shri Krishna told Arjunji, now I am going to tell you about karma yoga or buddhi yoga. Work done for the satisfaction, work done without fruity mentality. And already Lord Shri Krishna explained that to Arjuna. He started actually from past 2-3 verses. He started after giving his instruction on the nature of the soul. The soul is eternal. Ajo nitya shashvato ayam purano. So after explaining by the process of Sankhya, he addressed that as Sankhya. Now Lord Shri Krishna is describing about Buddhi Yoga. And previously also he described that by working with that consciousness, O Pritha, O son of Pritha, when you act by such intelligence, you can free yourself from the bondage of work. And nevam papam avapshasi same sukhe dukhe same kritva. Now Lord Shri Krishna is explaining what more benefit one derives and what are the real benefits of working in this way, working with this intelligence, working with this consciousness. Yudhaya yujasva, just for the sake of, just for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, for the satisfaction, Swami Srila Prabhupada explained in the previous purport, for the sense gratification of the Supreme Lord, not for our own sense gratification. If we work in this way, what will happen? What is the use? What is the benefit of working in this way? Lord Shri Krishna is describing, na iha, in this world, abhikramaha, neha abhikramaha, nasho asti, pratyavayo na vidyate. There is no loss or diminution. In this endeavour, there is no loss or diminution. If one works in this way, if one works in karma yoga, or if one work yoga, if one's work are meant for the satisfaction of Supreme Lord, if one is not working with fruity mentality for his own satisfaction, but one is working for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, so neha abhikrama nasho asti pratyavayo na vidyate. In this endeavor there is no loss or diminution. Pratyavayo, diminution. Pratyavayaha, diminution. And swalpam api asya dharmasya, swalpam, a little endeavor, a little advancement on this path, even if one act in a very small way with this consciousness for the satisfaction of the Lord, a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous types of fear. Can swalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mehto bhayat. So many dangers are there in this world. So a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Trayate mehto bhayat. So in the purport, Swami Srila Prabhupada explained that activity in Krishna consciousness is the highest quality of work. In the previous purport also Swami Srila Prabhupada wrote Buddhi Yoga is therefore the transcendental quality of work that we perform. Work also has got quality. The same work, physically it may appear the same work. Fighting is a work, but if it is done with a different consciousness. Arjun ji was thinking in terms of me and mine, in terms of his own bodily satisfaction, his material satisfaction, not thinking about his benefit of the soul, not thinking in terms of his duty for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. He was just thinking in terms of material sense gratification, that I will be more happy if my kinsmen, if my relatives will be alive in future. At least I will see them alive and I will be more happy. So he is not thinking in terms of duty, which is meant for satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, Swadharma, and he is not thinking in terms of the soul. So Lord Shri Krishna, first he explained Sankhya. First he analyzed, by analytical knowledge he explained that you are different from the body. You are not the body. And now Lord Shri Krishna is describing, if work is done for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, if work is done in Karma Yoga, actions are done for the purpose of yoga, for the purpose of satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, those actions which connect one to the Supreme Lord, then in this endeavour there is no loss or diminution. And a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Actions in Krishna consciousness, activities in Krishna consciousness, or acting for the benefit of Krishna without expectation of sense gratification is the highest transcendental quality of work. Swami Srila Prabhupada is writing. Same work becomes different. Same work, it do not bring any reaction. It does not bring any resultant reaction, and if there will be no resultant reactions in one's account, then one will not have to accept a material body again in this material world. So it is the highest transcendental quality of work, and even if a small beginning of such activity finds no impediment, if one work for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, that work is protected by the Supreme Lord. There is one finds no impediment. Even a small beginning of such activity finds no impediment, nor can that small beginning be lost at any stage. In this material world, we see unless a work is 100% completed, unless an activity is completed, we do not get the result. If we start a work and we do not complete that work, suppose we start taking some education and we do not complete, we leave it in between, we drop out, then that work will be completely lost. We won't get degree. If we try to pursue some education, some degree, and we drop out in between, then that work will be completely, we won't get any result. Unless we complete in the material world, we have seen, unless we complete a work 100%, we don't get the results. But in Krishna consciousness, any work, Swami Srila Prabhupada is explaining, any work done in Krishna consciousness has permanent effect. Even if 1% completed, then again one will get an opportunity to begin that work from 2%. And Swami Srila Prabhupada, in the purport, he gave the example, famous example of Ajamila from Shrimad Bhagavatam. Ajamila was a great Brahmana, a great devotee of the Supreme Lord. He took birth in a Brahmana family. in a very pious family, and in his childhood he was engaged in all Brahmanical activities as per the instructions of the Vedas and scriptures, and he was serving the Supreme Lord Narayana by performing various Brahmanical rituals, yajna. But as the story or the pastime tells, later he fell down, and he left his Brahmanical occupation, and he engaged into all sort of sinful activities just to satisfy a prostitute, and in that way he lost all his pious credits, and then in the end he was suffering from so many diseases. But at the time of death, somehow or other, Lord guided him, and he kept the name of his last son as Narayana. And at the time of death, he was very, very fearful when he saw the agents of Yamraj, Yamdutas. And in that fearful situation, he called out the name of his son. And the name of his son was Narayana. God gave him intelligence. Swami Srila Prabhupada explains in Shrimad Bhagavatam. And because he called the name of Narayana, immediately Vishnu Duta arrived and he was given a second chance. There is a wonderful book, by Swami Srila Prabhupada, Second Chance, which was compiled from his teachings, from his lectures, from his conversations. So a second chance was given to Ajamila. So he was saved because he did Krishna activities for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord in his childhood. He took birth in a very pious family, and he worked for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord Narayana in his childhood. So that small work, of course not small, because Swami Srila Prabhupada is writing, is the highest transcendental quality of work. Activity in Krishna consciousness or acting for the benefit of Krishna without expectations of sense gratification is the highest transcendental quality of work. So that was the highest work he performed in his childhood, which saved him at the time of death. And he got another chance, and he was saved from entering the hellish planets because of his sinful activities, which he committed in the later part of his life. And not only he was saved, he was again given a chance. Not only he was saved, he was again given a chance to start Krishna consciousness or to start his activities in Krishna consciousness for liberation, which is the goal of all activities in Krishna consciousness, which is the goal of all yoga. Either Karma Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, Gyan Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, this yoga, that yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. The goal of yoga is to connect oneself to the Supreme. So Ajamila got a chance. He again got a chance to practice Krishna consciousness from the point where he left. Second chance. And he utilized the second chance very properly, and he got liberation. So liberation, coming out of the cycle of birth, death, old age and disease, freeing oneself from all the kaleshas, adi devik, adi bhautik, adhyatmik kaleshas, sufferings and miseries, that is the goal of yoga. So Swami Srila Prabhupada, any work begun in Krishna consciousness, any work begun on material plane has to be completed, otherwise the whole attempt becomes a failure. But any work begun in Krishna consciousness has a permanent effect, even though not finished. The performer of such work is therefore not at a loss even if his work in Krishna consciousness is incomplete. 1% done in Krishna consciousness bears permanent result, so that the next beginning is from the point of 2%. Whereas in material activity without 100% success there is no profit. Ajamila performed his duty in some percentage of Krishna consciousness, but the result he enjoyed at the end was 100%. By the grace of the Lord. There is a so wonderful pastime of Ajamilji in Shrimad Bhagavatam, and Swami Srila Prabhupada is taking another reference. Tyaktva swadharmam charnam bhujer harer bhajan pakko atapate tato yadi. So in the Shrimad Bhagavatam also it is told Tyaktva swadharmam. Even if one gives up his occupational duties completely and just work for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, if one gives up his duty, tyaktva swadharmam, and if by some way, some means one falls down, if someone gives up sense gratificative pursuits and work in Krishna consciousness and then falls down on account of not completing his work, bhajan pakko atha patet tato yadi. Bhajan pakko atha patet tato yadi. If one falls down or if one fails in completing his work in Krishna consciousness, if one fails in getting liberation, if one fails in uniting oneself with the Supreme Lord, if one fails, then what happens? Tyaktva swadharmam charnam bhujer harer. One left, even if one leaves his occupational duty, then also yatra kva va bhadram abud amushyakim. Falls down on account of not completing, what loss is there on his part? Yatra kva va abhadram. Abhadra, inauspiciousness, misfortune. So in the Shrimad Bhagavatam, this wonderful conversation is there where Narad Muni, I think, yes, he is describing Tyaktva swadharmam charnam bhujer harer. So what loss is there on his part? What loss? And in contrary or in contrast, ko vartha apto abhajatam swadharmataha. And what can one gain even if one performs his material activities perfectly? So if one performs his material activities perfectly, then also what at max one can gain? One can elevate himself to heavenly planets. One can get a better life or better opportunity for sense gratification in next life, but still the cycle of birth, death, old age and disease, and the various miseries, adi devik, adi bhautik, adhyatmik kleshas will continue. Even if one complete his duties very perfectly in this world, maximum one can achieve heavenly planets, higher lokas, but still one cannot get rid of sufferings and miseries, adi devik, adhyatmik, adi bhautik kleshas. One cannot come out of the cycle of birth, death, old age, disease. Nobody want old age, nobody want diseases. All of us want youthful, fresh body with all the senses working perfectly for happiness, but old age is forced, death is forced, other miseries and sufferings by other living entities, by demigods, and by one's own mind and body, one has to suffer on account of all these kleshas and miseries which are imposed here in this material world, even if one go to Swarg Loka or any Loka. Even if one goes to the highest Loka, Satya Loka, then also old age and disease and death, or at last death is always there. One has to change body. And Shine Punyam Marta Loka Vishanti, Lord Shri Krishna explains. If one acquires pious credits and one goes to higher planets, then again, as soon as one loses his pious credits, then he has to take birth again. Marta Lok Shine Punye, Marta Loka Vishanti. One comes back to this mortal world. So that's why even if a person Kovartha, what is the gain? Artha, Kovartha Apto Abhajtam Swadharmataha. If someone gives up sense gratificative pursuits and work in Krishna consciousness and then falls down on account of not completing his work, what loss is there on his part? Because one start that activity again from the same point. If one has finished to some percentage, then again he start from that point. He gets an opportunity to begin his work in Krishna consciousness again from the point where he left. So work done for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, work done for one's liberation. Even if it is not completed, one gets an opportunity to start it from the point where one left in his previous attempt. On the other hand, even if one performs his material duties very perfectly, then also one cannot free himself from sufferings or struggle for existence of this material world. Kuntha, one cannot free himself from anxiety, kuntha. But if one somehow or other completes his work in Krishna consciousness, then one can attain spiritual planets, or one can get back his eternal life full of bliss, happiness, full of knowledge in the spiritual kingdom of the Supreme Lord. So that's why Shrimad Bhagavatam and even Swami Srila Prabhupada always took the reference. Even Christians, they say, what profiteth a man if he gains the whole world, yet suffers the loss of his eternal soul? If one do not, even if one gains the whole world, there were great Alexander, great emperor, who conquered the whole world. But when they were dying, they said, what? For what? Even they were in distress at the time of death because they didn't knew where they were going next, what will happen to them. So if one loses his own eternal soul, even Christians, they say this, and if one conquers the whole world, then what is the use? What profiteth a man if he gains the whole world, yet suffers the loss of his eternal soul? So material activities and their result end with the body. Material activities and their results. If we are engineer in this life, if we are doctor, if we cannot get the same degree in our next life at the time of birth. Oh, you completed your this education, or you were a billionaire in your previous life. So if next life we take in a very poor family, then our all, if in this life we become if we conquered the whole world, and if in next life if we take birth in a poor family, then we have to live in those conditions. If in this life we are very educated, but next life we have to start education again, and as per the circumstances of the next life. So material activities and their results end with the body. So wonderfully, Swami Srila Prabhupada, all the scriptures, all material results end with the body. Material activities and their results end with the body, but work in Krishna consciousness carries the person again to Krishna consciousness even after the loss of the body. At least one is sure to have a chance in the next life of being born again as human being, either in family of a great cultured Brahmana or in a rich aristocratic family. That will give one further chance for elevation. That is the unique quality of work done in Krishna consciousness. Lord Shri Krishna will also explain in the forthcoming verses what Swami Srila Prabhupada is writing. Lord Shri Krishna says, all the scriptures, they say, Suchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Bhrashta Vijayate. Even if one do not complete his activities in Krishna consciousness, then at least one gets a birth in a pious Brahmanical family, where one gets an opportunity to start work in Krishna consciousness again from the childhood. Or one gets birth in an aristocratic family, in a very, very rich family, so that one do not have to worry about money, material possessions in this world. Already one gets that automatically, and he has enough time to practice Krishna consciousness or to work for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. So that's why Swami Srila Prabhupada says, those who have taken birth in Brahmanical, very pious families and rich families, they have done pious deeds, or they have worked for satisfaction of the Supreme Lord in their previous life, and one should utilize this birth for getting success in Krishna consciousness, for completing his work of re-establishing one's relationship with the Supreme Lord in this human birth. And not only those people, it is for every human being. Every human being, this is the duty. If one has taken birth with elevated consciousness, then one should ask question, one should have Brahma Jigyasa, who I am. Is there any controller of this world? People are running. There is a rat race, herd mentality. Should I run with them in this world for name, fame, money, prestige, power? And I have got a very short duration of life, 50, 60, 70, 80, or at max 100 years. Or should I work to know about the absolute truth, to ultimate truth, about my existential reality, about the existence of God? Should I inquire? So if every human being, they should inquire. Dharmena hina Pashubi samanaha ahara nidra bhay maithunam cha samanyam etad Pashubi naranam. The Hitopadesh, it says ahar nidra bhay maithunam. Even animals are engaged into those activities. Ahar nidra bhay maithunam, eating, sleeping, mating, defending. So if after taking a human body, if one is only engaged into these activities, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, then one is no better than animals. At least in the human form of life, we should have inquiry. And if we will have inquiry, then we will try to find out the ultimate truth. We will try to find out the absolute truth. We will try to find out the reality of our existence. We will try to find out about Supreme Lord, and one may try to read the Vedic literatures or scriptures, or at least Bhagavad Gita in this age, which is ABCD of spiritual life. Swami Srila Prabhupada explains. Then one can get a hint. And Lord Shri Krishna, that's why he is explaining this wonderful science of soul, super soul, nature to Arjunji, karma, soul, super soul, nature, kala, karma to Arjunji, to the whole world through Arjunji, for our eternal benefit, for everyone's eternal benefit, for the eternal benefit of whole humanity. So very very wonderful verse and very very wonderful purport. Neha vikramanashvasti pratyavayo न विद्यते स्वल्पमपि अस्य धर्मस्य त्रायते महतो भयात् त्रायते महतो भयात् स्वल्पमपि अस्य धर्मस्य. In this endeavour there is no loss or diminution. In this endeavour there is no loss or diminution. So Lord is also in one way motivating everyone. Begin your Krishna consciousness. Swami Srila Prabhupada also says, begin, at least in this life, in this human form of life, begin it. Begin your activities in Krishna consciousness, because there will be no loss or no diminution. A little endeavour done on this path, a little advancement on this path can protect one from most dangerous type of fear. A little advancement done on this path can protect one from most dangerous type of fear. So very very wonderful verse. In our next session we will take up another verse, 41st verse. With this I would like to stop this session here. जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तरशत श्री श्रीमती श्रीमान चरणारविंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद जी की जय. All glories to His divine grace. Krishna Kripa Murti Abhay Charnarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Lord Shri Krishna, all glories to Bhagavad Gita, all glories to Lord Chaitanya, all glories to Holy Name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.